Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Just on Joe Rogan here, really. Um, it's GRE moment. Earth's poles are shifting and we might be fucked. Joe Rogan and Jimmy Corsetti, and a lot of links to a lot of stuff we're seeing, to be honest. And it's like they're trying to say like climate change, but is climate change in effect something else? A good explanation in here for the Noah's flood event really was pole shift, and when the poles shifted, the ice caps have melted and had to replace themselves at the North and South Pole and freeze again. But in doing so, has maybe caused a massive flood on Earth while they've melted before they've refroze due to a pole shift or something. It's a possibility. It's a good sort of hypothesis as well for how would the Earth flood, and then where would the water go after the flood. And it is sort of a good proposal that all the water was frozen. We had a pole shift, it melted, and then it refroze again back in the poles when wherever the new poles positioned themselves, and that's where all the water went. And yeah, we're just I'm not. It's not scientific fact or anything. It's just a good theory. I thought when I sort of kind of heard it, I thought kind of would explain it. Um, but anyhow, let's play a bit of the video because it's kind of like on the other one. It's kind of like we're heading for a general doom here. In essence, is it the end of the Bible? What's going on? Is it a pole shift coming? Who knows? Like what's going on with the weather, and you know what I mean? It all kind of links together. There's some bigger story here, and we're getting the wool pulled over our eyes. People are building underground bunkers left, right, and centre. All the rich people, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of like something's going on, something bad's going to happen, and we're not going to be told what it is till it happens. So anyway,
I think, because let me tell you something. Let me share something right now that you've never heard on this show before. You hear everyone talking about cosmic impact hypothesis. You hear people talking about sun cycles. Not a lot of people have been on here talking about pole shifts.
I did put a video on the other day about sun cycles, and we are at a peak solar maximus now, I believe, the sun's sun cycle, and the sun is firing off solar flares, not necessarily in our direction. But we could get one, or we could. We never know. That's the beauty of it. You never know. And with the current climate of everything else that goes wrong, you wouldn't be surprised if we did. To be honest.
Let me give a quick shout out to Ben Davidson of Suspicious Observers. I recommend maybe you link up with him. Nobody has researched the topic of pole shifts and sun cycles as much as him. And he brought something to my attention I had never heard before. Jamie, the very first slide that you showed was of the Gothenburg excursion. So there was a partial pole flip right in the middle. See how it dates between 13,007 and 12,003? So the Younger Dryas started 12,800 years ago. And it's right in the middle of that ballpark range. We already know, it is established science that when geomagnetic pole excursions happen, it changes weather patterns on Earth as well as the ocean current. Jamie, if you want to Google, there's a space.com article titled that in 2025, some scientists are suggesting that the Earth's ocean currents may stop. Have you heard this?
No.
Okay. And nowhere in the articles do they mention anything about pole excursions. So people need to understand that we're already in the middle of a pole excursion, which is a partial pole flip, which means that things are shifting inside the Earth. It's also known that that can cause changes in ocean current. Now, most mainstream articles, let me just be fair and tell you what they'll say. They'll say that, oh, no, it's related to man-made climate change. We're changing the currents of the ocean. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been one never for this climate change. Like this, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people on Earth, and we maybe do have the ability to now fuck the planet up with the amount of people we have on Earth and pollution and things like this. And we do have the ability to fuck the planet up, but we don't have the ability to change, as he says there, the ocean's currents. And would we have such a dramatic effect on the weather? Well, like, would the weather go to shit because we pollute the planet? Do you know what I mean? We don't, or personally, a lot of us, we don't know enough to know that what we're being told is true because we're the laymen, so to speak. And we could be getting told a load of lies, and it's covering up for something else, and because we don't know enough to know. But it kind of, to me, like as I've said and mentioned in many a video here and shown in many other things, maybe we're in the end of the Bible. We're heading for some sort of doom in some way. And maybe not though. That's the thing. It's maybe not a doom, like eventually, but it just kind of looks that this planet's gonna take a beating. To be honest, it already is taking a beating. It's took a beating for over 10 years at this point. But it looks like we're going to take a big beating at some point. Could it be World War III? Could the economy collapse? Who knows? Is there a big earthquake under the sea? Is there going to be a volcano? Who knows what's going to happen? But it does kind of look like we're heading to some sort of doom in a way. So yeah, climate change, as I mentioned in the start of the video, it's even here because it gets a mention um, in the video. YouTube's algorithms have picked that out and stamped the climate change thing on into it. It does it with coronavirus and all. Owned by Google, trying to keep the lie in place. You would imagine. So yeah, carry on.
But yeah, hit don't allow. Don't let them take your data. Look at this. Nowhere in this article to explain why. But here's the thing. People need to understand that the number one thing that affects weather on Earth is, of course, the sun. The second thing is ocean currents. It's the reason why it's the reason why England is relatively temperate.
Go back to that, Jamie.
It's the reason why England is relatively temperate is because the Gulf Stream flows up there and it keeps it relatively warm in comparison.
The way it says it here, key Atlantic current could collapse.
I mean, just connecting another dot here, but look at the weather we're currently having in England here, which it's not abnormal in our lifetimes, but of late it is abnormal. I can't actually remember the last time it rained at this point. As far as I know, it's nearly been like this for 3 months. It's about 2.5 months. It's been like this in England, sunny, which is not unheard of. To be honest, it's not unheard of. We have got periods like this before. It was like this in COVID. Um, but yeah, like this weather connected to ocean currents, and it is the Gulf Stream or whatever it's called is that higher up at the moment, and we're getting good weather because of that. And yeah, the weather is connected to many things. And he mentioned the sun there, and I said the sun's at a solar maximus at the moment as well.
Collapse soon, impacting the entire world for centuries to come, leading climate scientists warn. So just by saying climate scientists, you're already implying at least this is the result of climate change.
Right, that's what
which further fuels this agenda that man-made climate change is the cause of all of our woes. Yeah,
and the reason why you shouldn't listen to these people is because they're leaving out the key data involving Earth's historical climate data.
Yes.
They're not including all these other details.
Right.
And so I think people need to look at pole shifts because it's very interesting in this alternative realm that you have people that are proponents of the cosmic impact hypothesis. You have Dr. Robert Schoch with the sun cycles. You have other people talking about pole shifts. I think people should consider that all the above are correct, and let me explain why. When pole shifts happen, Earth's shields are diminished. We're in the middle of a pole shift right now.
Yeah, this is also true. I've seen this on another channel. I think magnetic shields down. I can't remember the figure or something. I'm going to say 40%, but I can't remember if it was that high. But Earth's magnetic shield is weakening and has been for a while. There's videos to the right here. I've noticed what the upcoming geomatic reversal will do. The truth about Earth's magnetic pole shift. So I'll continue on in this video, moving on to one of them ones when we've got finished with this guy here.
The Earth's shields are diminishing, and it's been happening since the 1800s. It's been accelerating over the last few decades. This is scientific data. The North Pole is shifting at like almost 40 miles a year when it was...
Yep, towards Moscow. This is all fact and true and been true for quite some years. The pole is moving towards Moscow at 40 to 50 mile a year. And the Earth's magnetic shield is slowly decreasing in its effectiveness. It will bounce back eventually and come back, but something's causing it to decrease slightly. And a lot of people do believe it is a pole shift that's happening. And what will that mean? Again, I'll move on to this video here, which will kind of describe what's going to happen.
Half that just a decade ago. And when the Earth shields diminish, we are more susceptible to cosmic impacts because
40 miles a year?
Google it. This is real.
Yeah, it's real. The North Pole is moving.
It's
I had
happening.
no idea. I thought it was feet a year.
Now, the mainstream will say, "Don't worry, it's still another 1,000 years away." And I'm like, they actually can't prove that because we haven't been alive to document a
Right.
pole shift. But what I'm trying to
Well, we maybe have, but the previous civilizations, as we believe, looking at all the ancient sites around the world that we've noticed and looked at, and then we wonder how they built them. Perhaps that pole shift wiped the Earth clean, and this is what we're waiting on and what we're looking at. And something again is believed to wipe this Earth clean every systematically, and we go around in a circle in effect, and some cataclysm makes us start again, and it's kind of I look at it as well as it's like Earth's defense mechanism. It stops us destroying the Earth. To be honest, like all this talk of climate change and everything. Well, the Earth wipes itself clean and starts again, and in effect, a lot of what we do will be irrelevant when that kind of cataclysm happens. So yeah, we maybe don't really make much of a mark on this Earth, no matter what we do. I mean, if we let off every nuclear missile on Earth, then that could maybe cause quite a lot of damage to the Earth in the long run. But apart from that, a lot of what we do will be minor, and should the Earth be wiped clean, a lot of everything we do will be wiped clean, as a lot of it has. Some structures, better built, well-built structures, and possibly structures that weren't in the way of major flooding or tidal waves, survived, and we still have these things today to look at as the proof of all of this, basically.
say is that we should consider the pole shift thing. Brother, ask Elon Musk his thoughts on this sometime.
Well,
And
he
then-
actually just tweeted something about it recently.
what do you say?
He tweeted something about the magnetic poles.
Oh
and
my
about-
God.
Yeah, he tweeted something about.
I think he actually retweeted the
core of the Earth.
What's his face? I forget his name, but you were just shouting
Ben
him out.
Davidson?
Ben Davidson. I'm pretty sure he retweeted Ben Davidson.
Oh, we need to find that out if that's the case. Because here's the
He
thing.
tweets so much though; it takes so long to
I
go
know.
through his tweets. I don't know. how
He
has
does
the
it too
time.
much. It's less effective because I'm like, I miss stuff. And I follow him closely, actually.
Jamie can find
You know,
it.
I
There you
get-
go.
Yep.
Look at this.
Oh,
Was
so
evident
it's Brian
thin crust
Ramon.
of solid
It's Brian,
rock
sorry.
beneath which a vast ball of molten rock, Earth's core, which generates most of our magnetic field, is 85% iron and moves independently from the surface plates, which is why the magnetic pole changes position.
I love Brian Romelli. If I'm saying his name right, we follow each other. He's a great guy. I think Elon Musk is giving a hint here because you remember how the northern lights were visible as far south as Mexico in the
Right.
last few months?
That was from solar activity, right?
Right. But the reason why it's more visible now is because the Earth shields are diminishing. This is I'm not making this isn't like from Bob's website. This is mainstream
Yeah, everything he's saying is true. Everything he's saying is true.
science. Again, Ben Davison has taught me a lot on this, and he was actually on with Alex Jones not long ago, and he really blew Alex Jones's mind. He vetted him, and so what I'm trying to say here is that like this is not being brought into the equation of man-made climate change
Right.
at all.
Well, they
Because of
can't.
all the things we were talking about, the educators want
They
to be the
can't,
only
yeah.
ones that distribute the information, and they don't want to look at the full picture. They only want to look at this one thing for the greater good of all of us. It's better if you just get people to only focus on getting an electric car.
Yep.
So the issue is that it's not like there's one explanation that could conceivably have caused this massive cataclysm. There's probably a lot of variables. Just
Yeah.
like there's always been. I mean, we always like to conveniently ignore supervolcanoes. When one of those blows, the whole world's fucked. The country's dead.
And again, we were just talking about a volcano under the sea in the Pacific, 10,000 earthquakes in one day. So is that a super volcano under the sea? Again, all this kind of connects, doesn't it? And again, just like we're heading for some sort of big event, be it World War III, the collapse of the economy, a massive or all of them put together, possibly. But it kind of does feel like we're building to some sort of bad event. Like maybe it'll be good in the long run, but initially it will be bad.
Dead. Everyone's fucked.
You should consider the possibility that that's related to pole shifts as well. And I could give you a point. There's one that happened, I've heard you talk about before, the Toba super eruption.
Yeah.
Did you know that happened at the same time of a geomagnetic pole excursion?
Oh boy. Well,
It's
it
true.
makes sense. You're having all
Well, yeah, all this connects, like magnetic forces. One prediction is that all the volcanoes on Earth will erupt. and systematically erupt all the volcanoes on Earth, not necessarily all at the same time, but a lot at the same time, but then systematically all of them. So this has all been said, it's all been prophesized, it's all been scientifically theorized as well, that this is what might happen. And again, I'll move on to the video here where it might try and explain what might happen.
It
All this
does.
movement.
There's movement
Yeah.
inside the Earth. A full pole shift is when they believe that the innermost portion of the molten within the Earth core shifts. A geomagnetic pole excursion is a partial pole flip, which they theorize is related to the outer portion of the mantle. The Earth's crust sits on top of molten everything, and when that shifts, it shifts our compasses, and it's not unreasonable to suggest that when something shifts inside the Earth, it would affect things on the surface. I touched on this in the last time I was on, but when it comes to earthquakes, as an example, some originate in the crust, which is like 28 miles at its thickest, I believe, or on average, and others originate in the molten outer portion of the mantle. Well, if something shifts inside the Earth, why wouldn't it cause issues on the surface, whether it be earthquakes or volcanic activity? And some volcanic activity involving supervolcanoes coincides with geomagnetic pole excursions. And so when I was on your show last time talking about pole shifts along with the ice ages, I was part of the same topic. Why is it that Media Matters, funded by George Soros, decided to do a hit piece on Jimmy Corsetti, the YouTuber? Brother, they came after me hard on this, which to be honest, I relished over. I was like, this is hilarious. I'm like,
Well, they don't understand that it's actually good publicity.
it is. And it makes me
They're
feel
not
like,
credible anymore.
No.
right. And it makes me feel like I'm over the target. Because what's that saying about you get the most flack when you're over it? So
Yeah.
I'm like, it makes me think that I'm onto something, because nowhere in any of these climate change topics, as far as like the narratives on it, do they mention anything natural involving, whether it be pole shifts. They sure as hell don't bring up the Green Sahara. They don't bring anywhere into the equation. They don't bring up the scientific fact that the Earth was warmer 4,000 years ago. There's Nobel Prize laureates that have been speaking out about this. There's two of them, Dr. Clauser, and there's another gentleman. I'm going to draw a blank in the top of my head. But like, they've shared this data. This is scientific fact, and they're getting shunned and ridiculed for it.
We spent a long time.
So I don't know if that's the end of the video or not. It's just a clip off Joe Rogan. I seen another one as well. He was talking about the North Pole. It was quite interesting. Yeah, that was the end of the video. So we'll just go over to. Well, hold on. What's this channel called? Astrum. I think we've been on this channel before, Astrum. And yeah, what the upcoming geomatic reversal will do to Earth is the name of the video. I won't probably get it all in, so I'll play a bit of it. If you want to watch the rest of it, go to the channel. We'll see what we get from it.
You don't expect it to go anywhere. And you certainly don't expect it to change places with the South Pole. That would just be wrong. Our magnetic compasses would all point the wrong way. We'd need to update our maps. Birds would probably be horribly confused. And yet, although they sound like something out of science fiction, geomagnetic reversals like this are real. They've happened before, and the process behind it might be a lot more dangerous than you'd think. To be clear, it's not the reversals themselves that are potentially dangerous, it's the buildup. During those times, the Earth's magnetic field, the shield around our planet that keeps us safe from deadly solar radiation, will drop to as low as 10% of its current strength, leading one group of scientists in 2021 to predict climate shifts and mass extinctions, and others to describe satellites being destroyed, electrical grids going offline, and deadly radiation raining down on us for hundreds or even thousands of years. This is troubling when you consider that we are a couple of 100,000 years overdue for our next geomagnetic reversal, and based on fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field that scientists are detecting right now, the build-up to a geomagnetic reversal may even have begun already. Which begs the question, should we be worried? I'm Alex McColgan, and you're watching Astrum. Join with me today as we explore.
Again, brilliant channel, Astrum. YouTube, to be honest, YouTube is just amazing. Where would we be without YouTube? And all these people and the sharing of information. Imagine if we didn't have YouTube and we were still just stuck with the TV and the newspaper. We would know nothing, to be honest. We would know a great amount of credit has to be given to the internet, to YouTube, and to all of these people that make these videos. From Joe Rogan to Astrum to Yemez to God Rules. I mean, the list is endless, and it's beyond brilliant. To be honest, what would we do without it? Honestly, what would we do without this?
Explore the science behind geomagnetic reversals and find out whether the next one will be an apocalyptic scenario or whether it'll lead to nothing more than a few lost birds. What truly happens when things go south? Let's start by trying to understand where the Earth's magnetic field comes from in the first place. It's not a given that our planet would have a magnetic field. The two planets flanking us, Mars and Venus, do not have one, and yet the Earth does, which is a good thing, as without one, there is a very real chance life would not have been able to arise here in the first place. Thanks to the protective cocoon of this field, deadly solar radiation is deflected away from the planet's surface, allowing things to flourish without all that radiation breaking down our DNA, causing mutations and cancers. Scientists are still trying to figure out all the particulars of why certain planets have fields and certain others don't, but the current leading theory is that the Earth's core acts as a giant dynamo. It's a principle of physics that you can use electrical fields to create magnetic ones.
Might be an advert here. Yeah, again, very detailed scientific explanations as well with a lot of these people. So, I don't play more so we know what the pole shift is.
Vice versa. This is the principle that power plants work under. Moving a magnet through a coil of wires causes electrical current to start to flow, as that changing magnetic field exerts a force on the electrons present there. But similarly, the motion of electrons creates a magnetic field to form in perpendicular circles around the direction of motion, in accordance with Faraday's law of induction. But the way this applies to the Earth's core is a delicate, complicated process. To start with, our core needs to be at least partially liquid, which fortunately is true. Above the solid inner core that lies at the heart of our planet is a liquid outer core, where the pressure isn't quite high enough to keep things in a solid state. It's very hot in the outer core though, 6,000 degrees Celsius at its warmest point, so hot that it rivals the surface temperature of the Sun, which, when combined with the lower pressure compared to the inner core, is more than enough to keep the iron and nickel that makes it up flowing down there. The temperature drops as you move away from the center of the Earth. This gets circulation going. Hot, conductive material from the warmer, deeper regions of the outer.
I mean, just sorry to interrupt. It kind of links into the inner Earth theory and there being like an inner sun, and that's how the people can see on the inner Earth. Depending on what you think the inner Earth is, whether it's cavernous or with I don't know, but there is a theory that the inner Earth, that's the sun of the inner Earth, the core of the planet, and that's how they get light, is one sort of theory. I don't know if I'm for the inner Earth. I maybe am, but maybe not in that form, but I don't know. I mean, we definitely have caves and caverns all over the world, thousands of miles long and deep. But not necessarily anybody living in them, but could there be people deeper? Who knows? It's a very interesting crack, to be honest, inner Earth.
Outer core rises, then cools, then falls again, creating loops and currents of flowing material. Our electrical field starts to be generated. But if there are many of these flowing loops, which in theory there would be, why does Earth only have one North Pole and one South Pole? Surely the created magnetic fields would be all over the place. Well, there is thought to be an extra force at play that takes all these fields and unifies them, pointing them in the same direction. This force is thought to be the Coriolis effect. Dynamo theory states that the Coriolis effect causes these flows of iron to not rise and fall as straight lines, but as spirals. The spinning of the Earth causes them to gently be spun in turn, creating giant springs. As each segment of each spring is creating a magnetic field in a circle around it, the net result is that the inside of these springs creates a solid, unified field that all moves in the same direction upwards, while the outside brings that magnetic field looping back down again and back in to the bottom of the coil. In short, it creates the well-known magnetic dipole north and south that we see today. However, if there's anything that you should take away from this, it's that this process is precarious, as it is based on a lot of liquid iron essentially just sloshing around, which is not very consistent. Our magnetic field thus has little fluctuations and wobbles all the time. We see this in different ways, but a big one is that our North Pole is constantly moving. Since scientists began keeping track of it in 1831, the North Pole has gradually shifted about 1,100 kilometers, leaving its original location in Canada and moving up towards Siberia. Its rate of motion is also increasing, going from 16 kilometers a year to roughly 55 kilometers a year, a big jump. This might still be akin to just the momentary wobbles of a spinning top though. Yes, it deviates somewhat, but it always remains roughly upright. That's a far cry from a complete reversal. However, scientists are certain that such reversals have happened before. They even have a specific number, 183 times in the last 83 million years. How do they know? The answer lies locked in our Earth's surface iron. When magma erupts from the Earth's mantle, it can contain small amounts of iron. As these can move freely in the molten magma, they tend to orient themselves in the direction of the Earth's magnetic field. However, scientists noticed that there were layers of geological history where the iron was pointing one way and layers where it was pointing in the reverse direction. Their explanation? The entire pole of the planet had flipped.
You could be owed up to 5,000.
I wish I was. Yeah, so I'll leave it there, to be honest. Astrum, go and watch it on the channel if you want to know about the rest of it. How long's left? I was sort of halfway through the video, so I've run out of time though. Really, I'll never get another 7 minutes in of it anyway. So go and watch it. But yeah, it's something that happens. It's something that happens before. That's kind of the explanation as to how we have a magnetic field and why we have a magnetic field. See, the video seems to do my head in. Just want to see that screen. Yeah, why we have a magnetic field and what it does, and it does flip, and just an explanation as to how it all sort of works with the iron in the core. But then the original guy on Joe Rogan, and many people, I mean, it was just mentioned there, how it was moving in 55 kilometers a year from 19 or whatever it was originally. Yeah, so there is evidence for all this happening, to be honest. Could this be climate change and what's really happening, and are we being lied to, and they're not going to tell us the truth because ultimately they can't stop this and there's nothing they can do about it? Is this what wipes the earth clean? You know what I mean? There's all these sort of connections and things we're looking at, all these ancient civilizations, what wiped them out, and yeah, is it all connected? But just very interesting, I thought, more interesting stuff. Again, pole shifts. Are we in the middle of, or are we due a pole shift? Is the big question, and there is some evidence to suggest we are. I'll leave it there anyway. Peace.